Welcome to Ethos Effect.
Welcome to the Ethos Effect podcast. After building and learning from failures,
We discovered our ethos and leveraged it
to scale, sell, and build again our seven-figure businesses.
whether you're starting out or leveling up.
This podcast is your source for innovation and lasting impact. Today on the Ethos Effect podcast, we speak to Rachel Siegel of Go Figure Accounting, and these are her words, not mine. I am not a typical CPA. Actually, those were not her words. Her words were, I am not your stereotypical CPA. So my question to you, Donovan, is what is a stereotypical CPA?
Oh gosh, we've had some interesting experiences in our business. Sometimes it can be very difficult to communicate with, like very, very difficult.
They're the numbers people.
Not so proactive, perhaps. It's kind of a little bit too late and they're just putting things in the proper buckets, where I think we've been looking in the past for more proactive advice, some more strategic thinking, and that seems to be what she does.
Things that you will hear on this episode with Rachel Siegel. You're going to hear about the challenges that she's seen in partnership agreements and how to protect yourself. You're going to hear about the biggest, most common mistakes that most businesses make when it comes to their taxes. And you're going to hear about the methodology that she uses to drive profit with her clients. So not just your typical taxes or your stereotypical CPA. Drive profit, which is ultimately what all of us business owners want, right?
Profit first accounting, very interesting concept, and also how she uses that to help her businesses grow and kind of consult with that. And she does not take on clients that do not have that mindset, which is always great to see when, businesses understand who they work best with, get rid of everybody else.
Speaking of knowing who you work best with, I think that involves some introspection and some feedback usually. So to our listeners, please like, share, subscribe, give us some feedback. We are all about it. We want this to be the place that you come for the best business advice, to feel motivated, to feel inspired. If you have something that you want to talk about, you have a question, you have a guest, we are here, we are listening because we want to be here for you in these stages of your business. So without further ado, let's go talk to your not so typical CPA. Welcome to the Ethos Effect podcast, where we interview entrepreneurs, trailblazers in their respective industries, learning so much about them, their why, the good, the bad, how they got there, and hopefully inspiring you to continue on your journey. Today, we have a pretty special guest. We've got Rachel Siegel with Go Figure Accounting. Thanks for being here, Rachel.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't we kind of level set? And if you could just let everybody know your business, what you do.
I own Go Figure Accounting. It's now 6.5 years old. I've been a business owner for 20 years already. I love what we do. We help business owners succeed. And our goal is to have every single one of our clients succeed to their goals and then far beyond those.
Mm-hmm. I know that, I'll speak for myself. Before I was a broker, a benefits broker, consultant, a little uneducated, I thought all CPAs were the same, just like most people think all benefit brokers are the same. And now we definitely know that's not true. But how do you differentiate maybe from every other CPA out there?
I'm the first one to say we are not the stereotypical CPA firm. Mm-hmm. We don't carry ourselves that way. We don't want to be that way. We are truly become part of the team with our clients. And at any given time, they can tell. They walk into our office, we're in jeans, there's dogs running around because it's dog friendly. We get into it. And I worked in private before public, so I understand the struggle of the business owner. And my family owned businesses when I grew up. So I've lived through that and saw what it did. So for me, being able to see both sides helps me help them. I don't speak accounting to them, I speak business.
That's certainly a challenge we've experienced personally, like Chelsea was saying. From what we've seen, there seems to be two types of accounting. One is the accounting at the end of the year, kind of just putting things in the right box after everything's been done. And then another one, which is more proactive, more thoughtful, more from a business planning approach. And we've had, some hard times with some other ones where that's kind of what we got. And we had to remind them like, hey, we are not the accountants. That's what we hired you for. So could you give us a little bit of notice if you want to send us something? Could you tell us when things are due? We are pros in our business and we hired you to be pros in yours. And it seems like that's a little bit more about what your accounting firm is about. So,
Definitely. We're extremely proactive, to the point where we even do flat rate billing with our clients. So my goal is to have you contact me and call me and schedule the meetings. And when your business does something, I want to know about it because then I can help you. Right. The more I'm involved, the more I can help you. Mm-hmm. I don't want the client that walks in with the piece of paper saying, here are my numbers, do my tax return. I turn those away. That's not the clients we want.
And with that, you had a kind of methodology that I guess your agency uses and is certified in. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What it means, what it does, and the
How
certification process that you guys went through?
So we are mastery certified in Profit First. Profit First is a book by Mike Michalowicz, and it's a cash flow methodology. And it's how to bring the income into your business, separate it out. So you're taking your profit first. You are also paying yourself because you are your most valuable asset and should be paid. Separating your tax dollars so you don't owe Uncle Sam at the end of the year and start crying because you had profit but no money. Mm-hmm. And then you learn how to run your business on what's left over from the operating expense account. And his book is a great guideline. There's always shifts in it. Every business is different. And I say it's a guideline because it takes a little more than just reading the book to do it, but it works, and it works really well. And I do it myself with my own business. After year one with my business doing it, my net profit went up 187%. It's life-changing, truly life-changing.
What do you relate that to? Is it just kind of, is it because this is like a process that you as the business owner or another business owner that you're doing it with, that you're kind of taking that on a biweekly or a monthly basis where you're examining it rather than what most people do, which is wait, and you're making adjustments throughout the year? Like,
it's healthy habits and it changes your thinking.
Okay.
And he likes to use the example of food, and I always say in the US, you go out to a restaurant and they load you down with food and you've got this big, massive meal. But if you go to Europe, you get these little tiny plates. Mm-hmm. You're still full at the end of both meals.
Right.
But in the US, we still finish our plates because we're told, clean your plate as a kid. And it's the same thing in business. The more you have, the more you spend unless you separate it out and really think, what am I doing?
Right.
And for me, because I happen to know Mike, I get the little angel and devil on my shoulders when I have big things to choose from. And I'm like, I literally hear him going, really? You're going to do that? Are you sure? And I'm like, okay, yeah, he's right. I need to keep my healthy habit. That doesn't mean, though, because some people say that means not taking things, not giving yourself what you should have and what you've earned. It's about timing. And one of the examples I use in the book is when you get your car, you usually get a used beater car, and then you get out of college, you get a little nicer. And then when you start being an entrepreneur, you get a really nice car. Well, I drive 12 minutes to work back and forth. So when I started rolling a little better, I really wanted a Tesla because I wanted it since it came out. And I went and I had all my little accounts, so I could afford it. It wasn't a question of that. My husband and I went and test drove it. And I was like, well, that was okay, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger. Let's go to the Honda dealer because we've owned Hondas forever. And I went and I got a Honda Accord hybrid touring model, which had all the bells and whistles and everything. And it was a leftover and it was $20,000 cheaper. So I bought the Honda and I had it for 2 years, and then I went back because now my separate account grew, and I bought my Tesla. So it's about healthy habits. It's not about doing without. It's about making the choices when they're good choices.
Love that.
The certification is pretty prestigious. I think I read you're 1 in 100 worldwide that are certified.
Yes.
What was that process like?
So Mike actually put a great process through. You not only read the book, and then you can learn about it, but then you get certified and he teaches you certain things. Well, once I went in and I was like, oh, this really works. I got to learn more. You actually can get advanced certified and then you get mastery certified. So you actually go through the process where you're doing these things and coming up with client situations, and you have to vet them, and what are you going to do, and how does it adapt, and what happens if this happens. And they have constant coaching and things like that we can use in case a situation comes up that we haven't seen. So some of these things are things I have been telling my clients for years to do, but it gave me a great framework. But I also have a network now that if for some reason I hit a situation I haven't hit in many, many years of practice, that I have people I can go to and say, this is where we want to end up. Here's where we are. I want to take it like this. Does that make sense? And that's terrific.
So I know, obviously, you're a very successful business owner. You have a thriving practice. You're mastery certified and profit first. We're going to get into it a little bit later, but you're releasing a book January 1st, all really amazing things. But as any business owner knows, it's not a linear path. Are you able to share some of those harder moments?
Yeah, owning a business is a lot of work. I have a lot of new entrepreneurs and I love speaking to them because I love helping them and they're so passionate. But first thing I tell somebody when they want to go out on their own is, are you planning on working twice as much as you do today? Because truly, you will live and breathe your business. When I first became a partner, I bought into a firm that had been in business for 35 years. So I was like, well, they know what they're doing and this is great. And did not have good advice from an attorney and just kind of went, I trust them. I know them. It's okay. Yeah, that was really bad. Yeah. There were many, many situations that I had to overcome once I started looking at things. And some of them didn't even come up for a few years. And you're like, why didn't I do this better? Why didn't I get good advice? Nobody gave me that advice. And one of the things in my Profit First book is the business advice going, before you do this, think about this and go talk to an attorney. And these are some other things you need to talk to them about as well. Because it's great when you go into business and you're passionate. And if you had to go to school to get that skill, you know that skill in and out, but you may not know how to run a business. Sure. So getting the advice from the people that really know, because you don't know what you don't know, is the biggest thing.
So it sounds like your book is of course about the profit first methodology, but with a little bit more kind of pointed direction and instruction from some of the mistakes you've seen with your clients. What's the go-to biggest mistake you see over and over again?
The same mistake I made. It's going into a business and not having any actual docs, because everything's great the day you start the business, but that doesn't mean it's going to be great by the time you're done. And not being prepared and not being proactive. And I see it every day, whether they're family-owned businesses or not. People just go, it's okay, we can do this. And that's great until something happens.
Wow. We were talking about this yesterday and about partnerships, so business partnerships. It sounded like you bought into your previous firm to become a partner, didn't work out. Now you're on your own, you're thriving. Do you have an opinion on partnerships in business, positive or negative? And do you see that with your clients, that it works well in certain situations or maybe not in others?
I think partnerships are fine if you lay the groundwork correctly. So I'm a big proponent. I mean, I was a partner in that firm for quite a while, and the split was very amicable. We just were going in two different directions, said, okay, it ran its course, it's time. So for my benefit, even though I had some hardships in trying to figure all that stuff out, it was fine, but we didn't have those things defined. And it would have been much better if we did. And I've had clients that I've started with and they're in business 6-7 years, and I come in and go, what about this? And what about that? And it's not really accounting, but it's business. And then I send them off to their attorneys and financial planners and people like that to go and put those things in place. The clients that I've been working with like that, we're now 10 years later, still with me, and things are happening. And they're like, you know what? You went and made us do those things, and I'm so happy you did, even though I thought it was a little ridiculous back in the day. And that's been really rewarding for me, because when you're starting up and you get that from the get-go, you have that in place. You can just boom right through your business and your growth.
Right. You mentioned earlier not taking certain clients or having kind of an avatar of clients that you like to work with. How did you determine what that was? And then how do you vet somebody that walks into your office or calls you or books an appointment on your website?
So we really like service-based businesses. So one of the things I always say is like a licensed professional. They're not all licensed professionals that we take, but to me, I want them to take their career seriously and they want to grow. And honestly, I want somebody who's going to value my advice because I spend a lot of time at work, and when I can help them and they take my advice or at least listen to my advice, even though they can make a different, choice, I find that more valuable because I can help them succeed faster and better. So when I have little entrepreneurs or somebody's just starting up, like I said, I love them because they're so passionate. But honestly, if in 2 years they're not taking my advice, they're not moving and they're not growing, we're sending them off to somebody who would be a better fit. Because the guys that are growing, they're always growing and their businesses are pivoting and they need my help and they need my team's help. And we need to concentrate on those.
Love it. I love that idea. And it's something you see really in any industry. I know, we're in financial services and it's the same thing. You could work with anybody and everybody and anybody on any line, but it's really about finding the clients that give you energy to enjoy your job and keep doing it. And when you have that, you just put that passion, that effort, that energy back into the business. And that's when you see the results.
Absolutely. There are days when I'll have back-to-back meetings with my business owners, and those are the days I can work 24/7, just because we're having good conversations and we're setting the goals, and we're going to see, we actually do a yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So we'll look back to the last meeting, where they're at today, where they were at, and where are we going. So they always know they're making that progress, and we then can shift what we're doing based on those next goals because they will shift every time.
You talked about earlier, offset, you were talking about speaking at some conferences. Obviously, you've got this book coming up. Why don't you tell us about this sort of next level stuff that you're up to?
So for me, it's going outside of my comfort level because you can't change what you're doing or you always stay the same if you don't change what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't like video. I don't like pictures. I don't do
But here you
podcasts. Exactly. So my team has told me I have to do these things. And writing the book was huge for me. And it's like standing naked in front of people for me. So it coming out, I actually uploaded it to Amazon over the weekend.
Congrats.
So it has 2 tweaks and then they get to approve it and then it'll be live.
Right.
And it's really how I can touch more people and get them the advice that I think they should have. Whether they're using my services and my team services or somebody else's, I want them to know about it. But it does mean to get the word out, I have to go and speak in conferences and be out there. So, when QuickBooks stopped the little faxing things, so I used to teach QuickBooks in a hotel and have, 100 people there. I haven't done it in ages. And even then, I just didn't enjoy it. I love talking to business owners.
Yeah.
I can get a group of 10 people together, love it. But being on stage is nerve-wracking. But you have to do what you have to do to get your message out. And if I'm going to help people, that's what I have to do.
Yeah, it just comes down to the growth mindset, right? You want clients that have a growth mindset. You obviously have a growth mindset, and it's all about doing something new and getting out of your comfort zone. Tell us a little bit about how everybody can reach you.
So anybody can go to our website, gofigureaccounting.net, and book a call with me or a Teams meeting if they're not local. We have clients all over the country. And if they're having trouble getting in, if they call the office, they can speak to Beth, and Beth will always get them an appointment on my calendar.
And the title of the book, I don't know if we got the official title out, but it sounds like that'll be available probably in January.
Yeah, it was uploaded. So by the time Amazon vets it, it should be January 1st, but it's Profit First for Optometrists. And it's a business guidebook. And it's great for optometrists, but it's great for any service business. And I do stress that we have a lot of optometry clients, but it's good for the others because of the business advice in there.
So very last question for you. What do you feel is your driving force, your ethos that has allowed you to accomplish all these things and continue?
So I really like to help people. and I can't handle the guts of things, so I couldn't be a doctor. And
That's fair.
yeah, just can't do it. So I always wanted to help people. I saw my grandfather, who had businesses, actually went to other countries and helped them set up those businesses and help people. And this is our way to do it. And I don't do it alone, and I'm the first one to say that. My team is amazing, and I couldn't do it without them. And finding them, and they have the same mindset that I have, is the greatest thing for our clients.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for being on our show today. I definitely learned a lot. And I think that the approach and perspective that you are bringing to the CPA world is needed, and it's definitely appreciated from the two of us. I can tell you that much. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Before we end, I have just one more question that I kind of noticed. The name, Go Figure Accounting. I think it's really interesting. How did you come about getting that name? It's certainly not what you'd expect. Typically CPA firms are kind of like a financial firm where it's like 4 people's names or something like that. Go Figure Accounting, definitely a lot more interesting. Tell me about that process.
So for me, it was very easy because I went out to M Agency, the owner, Jamie Mark, and he named our company because one of the things that he wanted was, how did I want my personality in my company? And I wanted it to be more like me, not the stereotypical.
Right.
I don't need my name anywhere. Matter of fact, most of the things I have don't even say CPA on them, even though I am a CPA. I want everyone to know that whoever they talk to at the company feels the same way about this. So he actually came up with the name, and we do a magazine that's fantastic, and the branding and everything else. And he's truly amazing. But he did that specifically because after interviewing me, he said, this is where you're going to be. This is your style. So we need the name to match that.
Fits. I love the name.
I love it too.
Thank you.
Thanks.